Subscribe and click the bell icon for the latest updates from Express Drives. In 2007, Hyundai entered the B segment with the i10. Later, it brought in the new i10, which was named the Grand i10 because Hyundai wanted to continue selling the older i10. Now, today, we have the all-new i10, which is the Grand i10 Nios. Now, this is the third gen i10 and Hyundai still wants to continue selling the older ones. So, yes, the Grand i10 will continue to be on sale. But today, the most important part is this car, the Nios. Now, the Nios is an upgraded car in every way. It's longer, it's wider, it's got new features. Everything's good about it. But the biggest challenge for this car is the fact that it will take on one of the country's best-selling cars, that is the Maruti Suzuki Swift. So, is it up to the job or not? Well, that's precisely what we'll find out over the next few minutes. Now, to start off with the design of the Grand i10 Nios, well, first look, it is quite a nice looking car. It's got a very sharp appeal to it. If you look at the front, well, you of course have this signature Hyundai grille up here. This gives it the family resemblance. Apart from that, you look at the headlamps. These are brand new headlamps, sharp design. The hood again has a lot of creases around it, gives it a lot of dynamism. And of course, you have these DRLs here, these boomerang DRLs. Now, these again are quite different. The placement is very different from what we find on the usual hatchbacks, which is mostly with the headlamp cluster, but that's not the case here. It's set in a different place. And of course, you have these fog lamps here with the chrome bezels. So overall, what you get is a very sharp and a fresh design. It does come across as a very youthful car. Now, once you move over to the side profile of the Grand i10 Nios, well, the same theme, that is sharpness and dynamism, that was evident at the front is carried on the side as well. So what you have is, again, you can see a sharp profile. There are these strong lines which come across from the tail lamp and of course from the front headlamp. There are also these sharp looking 15-inch alloy wheels. They've got a striking design, look good, look modern, they look premium, and overall they do lend a very handsome appearance to the car. And then of course there are these subtly integrated roof rails which give the car a sporty character. And once you move on to the rear profile of the Nios, well, again you see a lot of action. There are a lot of lines running across, and you can clearly see that the designers have made every attempt to make the car look wider. The only thing that we think a lot of people might notice is that when you look at the Nios bang on from the rear angle, it does bear a lot of resemblance to the older i10, but it still does manage to carve out a new identity for itself. Now, once you're inside the new Grand i10 Nios, well, it is a totally fresh cabin to be in. Now, if you look at the front, well, it's an entirely new setup. So what you get is a new infotainment screen. Now, this is an 8-inch infotainment screen, which makes it the largest in its segment. So that's a big bonus. And you also get, of course, the Android Auto and Apple Car connectivity with it. The screen itself has got a nice user interface. It is quite easy to use. The touch response is good, so you'll not have any issues in terms of operation of the system at all. And of course, you also get a wireless charging pad here, which is again a first in this segment. You also have these USB charging points here, two of them precisely. One of them supports fast charging, one will support normal charging, and the wireless charger, by the way, supports fast charging. So the biggest advantage with this cabin is that you can charge multiple devices on the go. Now, in terms of dashboard, again, the Nios comes with a very dynamic design. Now, you've got this honeycomb finish here on the dashboard, looks really premium. The material quality, the touch feel is very nice, and it comes across as a very premium cabin. You've got some space here, so that's smart integration for keeping your small knickknacks. And of course, if you talk about the steering wheel, it's a nice chunky steering wheel to hold. You've got the audio and the telephone controls on the steering wheel. And of course, if you talk about space in the doors itself, the doors do have very large places to place in your water bottles, and you will still be left with space for putting in a lot more stuff here. And moving on to comfort, well, the seats themselves are quite nice. The support is good, so you've got good ample cushioning here. And of course, even if you are someone who has a larger body frame than me, they are quite accommodating, so you'll not have a problem in that respect. In terms of color, again, there is option wherein you can either choose these. You can also go in for black seats. Now, like I told you at the starting of this video, that the key challenge for the Nios will be taking on the Swift, and for that you need a lot of features, of course, inside the cabin. And the Nios does come across with a lot of segment first features, but I've compiled a list wherein I'll tell you precisely those features that the Nios has and the Swift doesn't. Now, of course, there's the fact that this comes with the segment largest touchscreen here. It's an 8-inch touchscreen. You've got rear AC vents in this car, and there's a wireless charger. Again, this is something that the Swift does not come with. And you also have a shark fin antenna. Looks cool. And you have a driver rear view monitor. Again, it comes with grid lines, but these are static grid lines, not dynamic grid lines, so they do not turn with the steering. But again, the resolution for the camera is good, so it does help you get into tight spots or get out of tight spots. You also have this feature of emergency stop signal, so if you have a panic braking moment, immediately the car will automatically start flashing its hazard lights. So that is a safety feature. It warns oncoming traffic. And there's a variable warranty, which is again first of its kind feature in the segment, wherein you have an option to choose from 3 types of warranty, wherein you can either go in for a standard warranty, which is for 3 years, or for 4 years, or for a 5-year warranty. Of course, the kilometer range would vary. So now we're in the rear seat of the Grand i10 Nios, and what matters the most here is space. Now, of course, this car is larger than the older Grand i10, so you do get more space than that. But again, in respect to the Swift, which is its key competitor, the Swift is still longer, it's wider, and it's slightly more taller. So you would expect that in terms of space, the Nios is probably a little behind the Swift, but surprisingly, that is not the case, because in comparison to the Swift, the Nios offers more leg room, it offers more shoulder room, and it offers more headroom. Now, the driver's seat, I've got it adjusted to my driving preference. I'm 5 feet 8 inches for reference, and you can see I clearly have a lot of space in terms of leg room, no problem at all. Again, the floor is flat, so I can easily slide my feet under. That helps if you're going to be in the seat for a long time. The seat backrest angle is quite nice, so it gives you a very comfortable seating position. And one of the best things about this seat here is the work that the company has done in terms of increasing the under thigh support. So now, someone of my height, the seat is right up till the place where my knees fold. So I've got perfect under thigh support, and this is something very crucial when you're going on long drives and you're at the rear seat. And the other good thing about this seat is the fact that this is a completely flat seat, and of course floor, the hump here again is sort of flat. It's not a very big hump in terms of the transmission tunnel hump, so you can actually seat 3 adults in reasonable comfort. Now let's talk about the driving experience of the Grand i10 Nios. Now what you get in terms of engine options includes the tried and tested 1.2 litre Kappa petrol engine and the 1.2 litre CRDI engine. Now the petrol engine offers a healthy power output of 83 PS, whereas the diesel one gives you about 75 PS. Now if you talk about the drivability, well, the petrol engine is quite a peppy one. It has enough power to move around the vehicle at a brisk pace, so you do not feel a lack of power. You're not left wanting for power, even if you're driving on the highway like we are right now and you need to pull off overtaking maneuvers. Say you need to overtake the long trailers or the trucks, you can do that without any problem. And in terms of gearbox, what you get here is the option of choosing between a 5-speed manual gearbox or a 5-speed AMT. Now the best thing about the packaging in the Nios is the fact that you can opt for the AMT in petrol and diesel both. So unlike some other vehicles, not in this particular segment but in a lot of other segments wherein the diesel does not come with an automatic, here you have the option of choosing that with both of them. In terms of gearbox operation, well, the one that we are driving right now, the manual, works flawlessly. The gear ratios are well matched to the engine. The gearbox throws, the throws are not very long and the gearbox slots in very nice, so you can have a bit of fun while driving because the feel of the gearbox is quite nice. As far as the AMT is concerned, well, the AMT too works well, works better on the petrol compared to the diesel, and like an AMT is, it does not give you shifts as quick as a torque converter transmission would, but then again that is not something that reasonably should be expected out of it because it is a cost-effective solution, so you're paying less for it. It does the job. It will effortlessly help you navigate through traffic, and that is precisely what a lot of buyers, especially in the urban markets, demand today. Overall, NVH insulation, that is noise, vibration and harshness insulation, again, a lot of good work has been done inside the car, and as a result of that, a lot of these external noises are just filtered out from the cabin, and that just adds to the premium feel of the cabin. So what you get is a very refined driving experience. In terms of, like I told you earlier, the power is enough, so you can push the vehicle at a brisk pace. The handling is neutral, so it's predictable. The car goes where you want it to go, no problems in that respect. In terms of straight line stability, again, it's good. You can easily hold on to triple digit speeds, and even if you're braking from high speeds, the car does not veer off its line. However, with all that done, at the end of the day, the Grand i10 Nios is still not an enthusiast's car. It is not a car that you would want to drive for the fun of it. If you talk about the steering again is light, good for traffic usage. Of course, if you're maneuvering in tight spots in traffic, it comes in quite handy. But if you're driving at high speed, it does weigh up, but there's no feedback. The feel is very artificial, and that coupled up with the neutral handling does not make it a fun to drive car. But yes, it is perfectly fine for your daily errands. It's perfectly fine for your overall daily practical usage, and that is precisely where the largest section of the buyers in this segment lies. So in that respect, Hyundai has been able to check all the right boxes. So it's time now for a verdict on the Grand i10 Nios, and well, the Grand i10 Nios is a vastly improved package over the Grand i10. It is a truly competitive car in its own segment. It comes up with a fresh take on design. It comes with a new set of features, a lot of them being segment first. In fact, the cabin is spacious, it's got good safety features as well. The car is good to drive in overall experience. In terms of that, the car delivers well. But in terms of a buying perspective, what matters a lot for many buyers is the price. Now, in terms of pricing, the car has been priced quite competitively. So it is priced between 4.99 to 7.99 lakhs. Now, this is a competitive price range for a car of this segment, but it has to take up the great competition from Maruti Suzuki Swift. So where does it stack up against that car? Well, in terms of pricing, this car does offer a very good advantage. The base variant is about 15,000 less than that of the Swift. The petrol top variant is 39,000 cheaper than the Swift. If you talk about the diesel, well, in terms of diesel too, the Magna, that's the base variant, is 33,000 rupees lesser than the Swift, whereas the top version, that is the Asta, is 45,000 cheaper than that of the Swift. Now, add this pricing and what you get is a truly fantastic package in form of the Grand i10 Nios. Yes, some of you might want to debate the fact that this is not as fun to drive as the Swift. That is the case, no doubt about it. But for the larger section of buyers who prefer practicality, features, daily comfort, this does manage to get an edge and set a new benchmark in its segment.